Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, we should be good to go. Hopefully my internet will be stable this whole time. I'm so scared it's not going to. But anyway, sip of water. Okay, everybody. If you're ready, then I am too. Let me just get my thing out here, my presentation, and we'll get started. We'll get started pretty much in like a minute. Good morning, by the way. It is Friday. I woke up and I decided to talk about some stuff, some cool stuff. Hopefully you guys think it's cool too, and we'll get started in a second. Meow, meow, meow. Okay, we're gonna get started now. First off, let me start off by saying good morning. Welcome to the stream. I'll try to make this as quick as I can. I probably am not gonna try to make it an hour. That way, you guys can like get the gist of it and get excited for what I have next, and then we'll go from there. Good morning. So first off, if you guys remember, like 2 years ago, I made a presentation similar to this. Where I talked about a TCG game. I'm doing the same format here where it's all a slideshow. Good morning, Nozomi. Good morning, Mascapo77. Robot Ryan with a hi. So once again, I'll try to make this not an hour and a half long I did last time. Like I did last time. We'll just breeze through a lot of these slides. Ask away if you have any questions, and we'll get started. With that said... Hey, I'm Marcosatsu. You guys know I make videos on YouTube. I've been writing stories since I was little. All right, cool. That's pretty much everything you need, right? I really don't have much else to say there. I've been writing stories since I was young. I've been trying to be creative. I'm not the most creative guy, as you'll probably be able to tell, but I think I have something here that that I'm really excited to share. I just love telling stories, as you can tell from all of my videos. The History of X8 video alone was 65 pages long, 24,000 words, which is almost a novel in itself. But unfortunately that was taken down. But if that wasn't the case, then I have all the other History of Kamen Rider videos out there that are pretty much similar with lots of stuff. So yes, I write quite a bit. Part of my career is writing quite a bit, so I do write quite a lot. With that out of the way, we're gonna continue on, and since I've been writing this book for a while, it explains why I've been gone for like a month or two. It's been a while since I even uploaded a video outside of yesterday. So I've been focusing on this story that we will refer to as, drumroll please, Gold West Driver. Yay! Woo! Yay! As you'll see at the bottom, all this work is in progress, including artwork, which is made by the lovely Daisy Lovin, and the logo itself. This one, as you'll see on screen, the Gold West Driver artwork or logo is made by @Geely. Very, very good graphic designers, both of them, very good artists. So with that out of the way, let me go into a bit of the story here. As you can tell from the title, Gold West, it is a very much a Western. And the driver part, since you guys know tokusatsu, it is very much a Western tokusatsu in a book form, I guess you could call it. So this whole story, as you can tell, is in the American frontier, the Old West, the early 17th century all the way to the 19th century. As you can tell, an era of gunslingers and bandits and all that stuff. A lot of Hollywood and of Wild West stories in general do tend to romanticize this kind of era, but it was very rough. It was a very, very terrible place to grow up in, as I've been doing lots of research through history. And of course, there's those countless stories, as you can tell from popular stuff like Red Dead Redemption, and not just that, but there's also been other stories like Jonah Hex and the Stephen King novels. there's just been so much, and there's so much you can get from a certain era such as this. And besides, I think in Japan there's a lot of like cowboyism to what they do too, as tokusatsu viewers will know from Star Ninja, the cowboy ranger. So a little bit of backstory for this is that it does take place during the Old West, the Wild West, as they call it, the Old West. I'm not trying to keep a specific time frame, but it is pretty much there. There's a story about alternate history where real things will be mentioned, such as guns and like real outlaws too, but they're not going to be important to the story. I do name drop a few things here and there, but we pretty much move on from that. We're not going to focus on like Billy the Kid or anything like that. But the two main takeaways from this story, as we'll see soon, well, kind of three main takeaways, is that for one, spirits are going to be a big part of this. Ghostly apparitions, phantoms, they are going to be a big part of this story. Kind of a way of life in a way, if you want to put that. And while this does take place in America and like real history and stuff, there are going to be fictional places based on real locations. Like Los Angeles is not going to be called Los Angeles. Nevada is still there, but like cities and stuff, they're not going to be called that. And there's a little teaser at the bottom right there, so we'll get to that in a bit. So my main inspirations, as you can tell, tokusatsu and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which will play ginormous parts in this. Those are like the two main things I've been wanting for this story. But of course, also alongside that is my own experiences throughout living in the West. As some of you might know, I've been in California pretty much all my life, but I've also been on the borderline of other countries. I've been on the borderline of other states, such as Arizona and Nevada, so I've been traveling quite a bit here and there. There's pictures of me out there in the Old West, the Wild West, that one specifically Tucson. And there's also Tombstone, and in California, I traveled a lot with my band, and I did like a lot of the historical places that we would go to. So yeah, just a lot of cool experiences growing up in America. In America, but also California and the western deserts and stuff like that. So yeah, just lots of things I really like personally. I may not be a cowboy myself. I may not say yeehaw as a normal thing, but I do very, very, very much like the place I grew up in the desert and all that. So I got this really cool picture of Ichigo because it is very deserty. It is very tokusatsu related. It's less Kamen Rider. It's more Power Rangers. Not Power Rangers. It's more Sentai / Rangers than Kamen Rider itself. But we do have some suits to show off in a bit too, which you guys probably will think is pretty cool. I mean, I think the suit is going to be really awesome to see, especially in artwork form. But also, the other main thing is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Not specifically Part 7 Steel Ball Run, but just JoJo's in general. I only chose Steel Ball Run here because it's very Western. And on the bottom corner there is the Wild West Rangers. Yeehaw. Okay, moving on. So this story, Gold West Driver, I've been writing for years. It's been in my mind for a very long time, as far as I can remember. It's just something that's been dear to me, as in, it's been something that's been close to me with tokusatsu, with JoJo's, with all these stories that I love growing up in the Wild West and in America and all that stuff. But with that said, we should probably go into the actual story here. Will it be a graphic novel or just a written novel? I'll explain that in a bit too. It will be very interesting how I roll this out, and I think you guys will enjoy what I have to offer. So this story is about a young girl growing up in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, much like I have, and she goes on an adventure to search for the Gold West Driver. Whenever there's text here, you guys can save that for later. You can pause, you can screenshot, you can do anything, but I'm not really going to be reading off this entirely. So as you can tell, this is the story: a girl and a nameless stranger. You know, it's a very common archetype of the Wild West to have the silent, gruff stranger, cowboy bounty hunter that walks into town and just takes charge and stuff. So she and this nomad are going to go on this adventure to search for the Gold West Driver. Pretty straightforward. I like to think it's kind of a simple thing. But there are also 3 other main parts to this story that we will get into. Resolve, Rangers, and Despairs, but we'll save that for a little bit later. If you've been a fan of this channel and have followed me specifically through like Henshins and Dragons and stuff, some of this might sound familiar, and I did get a lot of things here and there chosen from again, my experiences, the stories I shared and stuff like that. So with that said, I believe the next slide is the character herself. Yes, it is. So, as said before, all of this artwork is made by my lovely wife, as you can follow at Daisy11. She drew all this. It is fantastic. It almost looks like video game background art or something, that or models that you would draw for like characters and stuff. But this is Paige. She's the main character. The story is written in first person, so it's all from her point of view. Lots of help there too. I didn't design her. Like I'm not good at designing, as you guys will notice later on. But I am not the visual type whatsoever. I just tell the story. So my wife is the one who designed her pretty much like this. I just gave little notes here, like oh, I think maybe her hair is gonna be long like this, and so then she drew all that and stuff. You'll see a bit of her character. She's just a normal person in a lot of ways. She's just your average everyday lady who grew up in the desert. I wouldn't say there's nothing special about her, but just she's a very lovely lady. A bit sarcastic, but mostly serious, as she tries to be the light in the darkness for those that are fighting against despair. Hee. So the next main thing, well, actually, first off, thank you so much, Nozomi and Cass. I'm assuming Antha's there with you, so thank you so much. I'll let her know that you guys enjoyed it too. Yes, it is very lovely, but this is just the beginning. The next art, or a few of the artwork that you'll see later, is so gorgeous. I cannot believe like my wife was able to do all this like so fast. Like, it is amazing. But I'm just teasing there. So we'll go off to our first point here outside of the main character, is resolve. You might as well call it a stand. That's basically what it is. It is basically a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand, but the main difference here is that these powers are specifically tied to objects. They're not just like floating apparitions that stand next to you. I think these are always tied to something, whether it's a bullet, a gun, a glove. They always have to be tied to something specific. And the other main difference is that the names themselves for these powers are references to video games. At first, it was going to be kind of music related like JoJo's, but I thought, no, that's a little too on the nose. But I like video games. You like video games. So all the names are references to video games. These are the main ones I'll show off for now. Mass Effect, Diamond, Kingdom Hearts, Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, and Hylix, but there's going to be way more. I try to be as absolutely creative as I possibly could. So as you can see from the artwork here, again, by the lovely Miss Daisy11, Mass Effect is the resolve for the Nomad. Its ability is that this one bullet is incredibly heavy to everybody else. It's immovable to everybody, to every object out there except for the Nomad himself. So whether he throws a bullet down or shoots it, it will always be the impact of like 100 tons. But to him, it's just as light as a feather. I think that would make for some very interesting encounters and fights, whatever you want to call them. It'll just make for some very interesting back and forth here, fighting with your resolve, your inner spirit, your power to fight off like a bandit or a gunslinger or a hired gun, pretty much anything. And as you can tell from the bottom right, the first three on top that are different colors are the resolve for the main characters. The next three are resolve for the villains, and we'll see how we go from there. I do have a whole list of names for these. Like I even asked my best friends, and I asked all my friends and stuff, like, hey, what's your favorite video game? And this is pretty much how I got them. The names don't really mean anything, and I know a lot of these names are really modern, But just like JoJo's, you probably just have to bear with me there, cause like I don't know, Bloodborne, like it doesn't, or no, Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush doesn't sound like too like Yeehaw Wild West, but I guess bear with me a little bit, or give me some leniency. You know, they're just names for the most part. I also tried to go as obscure as I could. I also tried to go as popular as I could. Of course I had to have some tokusatsu video game references in there. There's only like 2, I think. But yes, Memory of Heroes is one. That's probably like going to be the most obvious one to my viewers out there. But these, of course, these aren't the only ones. There will be way more. I wrote that there's at least one resolve every other chapter, one brand new one that they have to fight against. So we'll see. Also, if they're not the names of the powers themselves, there are references to, or they are references just as names alone. So like A Beautiful Joe, it's not a power, but it is like a person. I do have like Casinopolis and Mirage Saloon from the Sonic games, but those aren't powers, they're just name references. And yeah, there are some music stuff that I snuck in there, but aside from that, this is it. There's not really much else to talk about here. They're just powers that have to do with like video game names, and but they are like very Wild West powers. Like I didn't try to make them super modern. They're just Old West stuff. I talked about this way more than I wanted to, so we'll go off to the next thing. The Rangers. They're not Power Rangers, but these are the Rangers of the Wild West. They are under the Ranger Bureau, who try to defend against some enemies that you'll see in the next slide. But these are the Rangers of the Wild West that try to defend, that try to protect the people. They try to protect humanity, and they transform using their guns, their drivers. And as you can see from the bottom right, this is just a work in progress. This is their suit. A lot of these are going to be somewhat similar to this. The helmets might be different. Some of the chest pieces might be different, but this is a ranger. On the left, as you can see there, that's a sheriff. That's Sheriff Henry. And combining his star badge, as you can see, combining that with his gun, he shoots it. A puff of smoke appears, and then this armored hero stands in their way. This is pretty much the main tokusatsu element that comes out of it, is the transformations. I know, again, that's not very Wild West. This is, again, a work in progress. I am trying to make this, or I am trying to ask if this could be toned down a little bit, but for the most part, I do love this so much. I didn't see here, but the helmet is not entirely futuristic. I did say it's like metal stuff. It's not entirely like a futuristic sci-fi thing. They are like made of metal and tin and leather, just trying to be like older. The helmets, they're like some slits for the mouth, that way you can talk through, because again, it's not futuristic. They're not gonna like mic themselves up and talk through that or anything. But yeah, this is a ranger. The left is kind of an adversary at first, but we'll see a bit later. And on the top right is their logo for the Ranger Bureau. A bureau also has to do with like information and investigations, but that's not the only thing, as we'll get to in the book. And so the Rangers and Paige and the Nomad do have to have some enemy to fight against that aren't always bandits, because you can't just go around shooting a guy every corner. I mean, even in the Old West, I know it is kind of a romanticized thing to like, oh, we're gonna pew 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 everybody, but that's not actually how it went. Kind of. So with this, I did think of an enemy that they should be able to fight without really like killing anybody, but still involving these really cool fight scenes that I have in my mind. So with that said, these are the Despairs. They are the mooks, the main enemies, the grunts, as you would say for a tokusatsu show. These are like the main foot soldiers that just roam around the desert or the towns or pretty much anywhere. My wife wrote a lot, which will be shared in a bit too. She wrote a lot for these, because she was actually the one who thought of most of this. Excuse me. Because she was the one who thought of most of this. I really only thought of the runt here at the bottom left, where it's just a humanoid despair, where they fight off for the most part. But then she took it a step further and made the rest of what you see here, and these are so cool. But this is again just the beginning. These encounters also are like one every other chapter or every two chapters, where they face off against like maybe a couple runs, along with, like, you could say their boss, like a bruiser or a sidewinder. And of course these are also really wild westy names, like sidewinders is also a nickname for like a snake and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't go too deep into these at the moment, because they do have a lot of like backstory to them. But for the most part, Rangers fight off the despairs, and Rangers protect people from being eaten or killed by these things. And a lot of the backstory, and the main thing that I try to write from the despairs, is that they're born from someone's negative emotion. So the stronger someone's negative emotion is, then a bigger one appears, and they evolve further and stuff. So this is pretty much what I was thinking. In Henshin and Dragons, that's also what we call the mooks, where despairs, and that's pretty much something I've always had for like years too. I just happened to implement it into Henshin and Dragons, for like the party to fight. But for here, I actually am like cementing this as like a thing I've been wanting forever, and now it's finally happening. Is that these are their main adversaries, or the main things they fight. Maybe they're like on horseback or like on a wagon, and then suddenly like the despairs are like blocking their path, and then they have to fight. Or like they're in a town, and then a ranger appears, and they have to like transform and fight off a bruiser or a sidewinder or something like that. I'm just very excited for this one, and these are also meant to be scary. They're very wispy. They're just black silhouettes with like wide eyes. So I did try to implement a tiny bit of horror element into there too. So it might get a little creepy here and there whenever these are involved. So those are the main 3 points, but let's actually talk about details. This is kind of the structure that I've been thinking of. This is a little bit of my planning that I've been doing. It is about 400 pages, 50,000 words, more or less. It is almost there. That's why it's squiggly there. It is more or less something around there. This is a written novel, but as you can see, there's art for a reason. It is a written novel. Words, artwork. I want to have artwork here and there. But it will be a complete story. Gold West Driver itself, from like the first page to the last page, it will be the full complete story of Paige Florence and her adventures with the Nomad. That is the whole story. I'm not planning this as a series. I'm not really that interested in a series, honestly. And I've been fighting really hard to just keep this as a single story, because maybe I could split it into like 5 books as a series, but I don't want to do that. I just want this as one complete finished story. With that said, I was also thinking a bit of a I was also thinking of a light novel approach, where there would be artwork, maybe every other chapter here and there. Because if you heard of like Japanese light novels, they use artwork, and those books tend to be kind of on the shorter side. So that's kind of another inspiration I had for this, is that it would be not the biggest book out there. It will be kind of beefy, honestly, but it won't be like 1,000 pages. At least I'll try not to. But it'll also include artwork. That way you guys can get stimulated by the visuals. And of course, fast-paced action. That was like my number one thing. I want a simple story with lots of fast-paced action in every other chapter, whether they fight a resolved gunslinger, a ranger, a despair, something. There will always be something right around the corner. But the biggest thing on this slide is the artwork. As you can tell, once again, the lovely Daisy Lovin drew this pretty fast too. I think it only took like a few days. So like, as you can see, the detail is all there. She drew a page right there at the alleyway, ready to turn the corner to like these bandits that are in a gang that are trying to fight her off from finding out more about the Gold West Driver. This artwork is just so gorgeous. I love this. And there's more. There's way more artwork. I think. I hope I put it here. So yeah, artwork I think is another big thing I really want, is because it just looks really cool. I love this. It is so detailed. It is so cool. Okay, moving on to the next one. Here are a few snippets. Once again, I won't read this. You can read this. You can pause. You can take your time. But these are a few snippets I took from the novel that I just posted on here. Some interactions, some characters here and there. Excuse me. As you can tell, I also put in the chapter titles, but at the bottom is like a short conversation between Paige and a new friend she makes named Joshua. But these other ones are like describing the scene and the fight. In chapter 3, one of the rangers that you saw from a previous slide is fighting a despair, and then he gets into a scuffle with a nomad, and this is that scuffle that they're talking about. And it also includes a description of the resolve power itself in at work. And then the next one below that is a ranger transforming. I'm actually kind of happy with this one. I'm actually like really, really happy with this. So I couldn't have the characters say henshin. That is a Japanese word. I don't think they'll be saying henshin or like morphin time or and I also thought transform was too boring of a phrase, at least in English. In other foreign words, I don't think would make too much sense, except maybe like Spanish. But in Spanish, it'd be like transformación, but it. So the transformation word that I decided to go with is initiate. I think it sounds cool, but also kind of like modern, but also like oldish. So whenever a ranger transforms, they fire their gun, yell initiate, and then they transform into their ranger form. Hee. Okay, we're almost done here. Is there gonna be more? I was talking about this whole thing as a book, as a written novel, the written medium, where it's all just words that you read there, you flip through the pages and read it. I know not everybody is into that. Books, while popular, especially with the tokusatsu medium being all visual, I know that's not going to appeal to everybody. It certainly doesn't really appeal to me that much either, but I mean, I am a storyteller. I do like writing, but if I were anybody else, I'd probably want to see this more than actually read it. So this is where the other ideas come in. If this gets enough attention, I guess, or enough people wanting to see more of this, wanting to know more of this, is a graphic novel, and on the right is just an example of that. This is pretty much like the first or the second page of Paige being introduced to the nomad in this world and stuff. And I think it looks so good. Like the details are all there, and again, Daisy Lovin was able to pump this out pretty fast. Not that I was telling her to do all this in like a short amount of time, but I told her like months back, and then she was like, "Okay, I'm done." And I was like, "Wow, this looks so detailed. How do you do this so fast?" But this is pretty much just a tease of like, if people are interested, I would love to turn this into a graphic novel. But more than that, as Marcosatsu does, I also have ideas for more, such as audio dramas, maybe the book itself being read, but also just like audio dramas in general. Of like, I even asked like Dawn and Keza if they would voice a line or something. if they would voice something, and of course they'd be down. I asked my wife if she would like voice some characters and stuff. So maybe audio dramas, maybe a comic book, a graphic novel. We could workshop that too. I've already started kind of on that. Sequels, maybe, like I did say, this is just a single novel, not a whole series, and that's what I want. But I do have ideas for later. Like this is a whole world of stuff we can work with, like I have ideas, my wife has ideas, my friends have ideas. Maybe we could do a lot more with this, but we'll see where that takes us. And that's pretty much it. That is my presentation for Gold West Driver. I know I didn't go entirely too deep into that. I did try to make a lot of this surface level because, oh my gosh, I forgot the slide. Is this it? Dang it. Okay. I forgot my slide where it says it's chapter 1 is available now for supporters. You can read it right now. Where can you read this, Marcosatsu? Oh well, first off, thanks for asking. I was workshopping this so I could it's so that way if it's not traditionally published, then I would love to self-publish it, maybe through like Amazon or Kindle Books or something, and that way you guys can like read it. But also, I want this to be widely available wherever. So we'll see where that takes us. Once again, I'm trying to see what I can do with this story because I think it's a pretty good story. Maybe a publisher would like this too. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, big thing. Chapter 1 is available now on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Whoops, forgot to put that slide. You can read it right now. It's there. It's available. And that's pretty much it. Cool. All right. Thanks for asking, everybody. Thank you, Cass and Antho for hanging out and Nozami and Dragfang 37. Cool. I'm gonna go have breakfast. Yeehaw.